Silent Hill, Arcade, Orphan, The Axe, The Escape, The Experience. Where was I when Konami released all these Silent Hill titles? For fuck. Silent Hill, the series for true horror gamers, along with Resident Evil and few others, is finally back and here to stay. Contrary to Resident Evil, in fact, Silent Hill has been on a hiatus for way too long before the resurgence. The series was born in 1999, and since then a ton of games have been released, but not all of them are well known. There have been quite some obscure spin-offs along the way, which I feel are not often talked about. And no, I'm not talking about Book of Memories on the Vita. I'm talking more about something like Silent Hill Orphan or Silent Hill Experience. Or what else, you say? So, elation and jubilation, gamers from all around the world. I am Lucian, and this is the World Gamer Show. And there's no better time than today to talk about Silent Hill, but the World Gamer Show way. Meaning that we will take a look at some of the most oddball and weird Silent Hill games that nobody really talks about. So, this will be the first in a series of videos in which we will take a close look at the absolute most obscure Silent Hill games you might have never even heard of, let alone play them. And after all, I've talked a ton about the Resident Evil series on my channel, but not too much about Silent Hill, which is another one of my absolute favorite horror game series. And if you're here right now, we are probably on the same boat. So yeah, let's do this. Obscure Silent Hill games. We have first-person shooters, dungeon crawlers, and even some obscure adventure games. And guys, I don't want to waste your time with well-known spin-offs. That's why we're not going to touch on games like Book of Memories or Ascension or whatever. And with that out of the way, let's jump into these weird and obscure Silent Hill games. Are they any good? Are they worth digging up to begin with?
I'd like to find out myself.
So let's dive right in.
Have you seen a little girl?
We will start with something very unique. Silent Hill Play Novel on Game Boy Advance. You might have even heard of this game and maybe be turned off by the fact that, yeah, at its core, it's not really a game as much as a classic visual novel, or so you thought. As I can guarantee you that there is so much more to it than meets the eye, including expanded characters lore, but also forever lost media and questionable decisions by Konami. Because of course. So, without further ado, let's check out this play novel.
Let's have a look.
To have such an iconic franchise like Silent Hill on the good old Game Boy Advance feels like such a huge opportunity, right? But let's not forget that this machine was only slightly more powerful than a Super Nintendo, really. So to me, it's pretty obvious that we need to set our expectations right here. Play Novel was released in 2001 as a launch title for Nintendo's Advanced Portable Console. It's a retelling of the original Silent Hill, which follows our protagonist, Harry, in his search for his daughter, Cheryl, who gets separated from him after a car accident on their way to Silent Hill. Now, with this being a visual novel, there's a ton of text, some decision-making options, and beautiful artworks using original 3D renders. Also, unfortunately, this is a Japanese exclusive, but thanks to the great Silent Hill community, we can enjoy the game in English through this awesome fan patch. So, big kudos to them, true heroes.
Thanks.
But now let's just start the game, because what I'm going to show you is just incredible. You are not ready for this. Yes, this footage you are seeing right now is not from the PlayStation version. It's the GBA. Konami somehow managed to cram some FMV sequences from the PS1 onto the small Game Boy Advance cartridge, to an honestly great effect. Yes, they are of course compressed beyond belief, but these are actually quite good looking if you think that the GBA screen is very small, so on original hardware it wouldn't appear nearly as pixelated as you're seeing it right now. So, we're off to a great start. So let's move on. We are in the main menu and... Huh? Yes, of course I want to play as Harry. He's the only protagonist, right? Right?
I really can't say.
Well, we will find out soon enough. So what's great is that truly the atmosphere is there. The writing and the artworks do a great job at conveying the oppressive atmosphere of the classic game, even if the music pales in comparison to the original for obvious technical limitations. Now, imagine playing this game in the dark at night. It can get pretty intense. I just wonder one thing though, the original GBA didn't have a backlit screen, and this was a launch title. This means that until the Game Boy Advance SP came out, people needed to play this game necessarily in a well-lit environment, either in the sun or with a big artificial light right on top of the screen. And this must have been a mood killer for sure.
Yeah, a living nightmare.
Anyway, thanks to today's technology, we don't need to worry about that anymore. The game has many options typical of the visual novel genre, including means to scroll backwards and read previous lines in case you advance too quickly, or even revisit previous chapters. In particular, the chapter selection is ideal to understand the flow of events you are currently in, and more easily manage to get each ending through the different decisions you make along the way, just like in the best visual novels like the Zero Escape series. I just wish it allowed you to save anywhere you want, since you're supposed to play this on the go. Instead, it saves automatically at specific points. Still not ideal, but these checkpoints are not that infrequent, thankfully. And you can even remove the on-screen text to take a better look at some background images you might like. And boy, do I like me some cybil. Speaking of graphics, they are actually pretty decent, as the developers mostly used the CGI stills for the backgrounds and characters. They didn't go too crazy with the animations, but they're there, and they do their job. For example, I love this snow effect. And what's this? This looks familiar.
Oh my god!
The story moves on at a decent pace, and it also has the great merit to expand on some scenes which might have felt a little rushed in the original. I'm just not a big fan of the fact that there is almost no action in this game, being a visual novel and all.
I didn't come here to play, you know.
Combat was a pretty big part of the original game, so it feels like the enemy encounters are handled just weirdly. I wish there was some sort of proper interaction, like at least a shooting minigame with a reticule and some bullets to put through the enemies, or even a turn-based combat. Instead, no, we only get some decision options. Okay, I can make it do. That's not to say there is only ever just reading. After all, it is called a play novel. In fact, every now and then the game flow is spiced up a little by some interactive puzzles, like this one here. They help a ton in giving the title a little bit more variety. Moreover, like I said previously, as you go on, you get the chance to steer the story to your liking, thanks to multiple choices available to the player that allow for different endings, many more than the original in fact. After you finish the game the first time though, the true big surprise is revealed. You can now play a second campaign as our favorite Cybil Bennett, the policewoman, and huge crush of mine when I was little.
Cybil Bennett. I'm a police officer from Brams, the next town over.
It's fantastic to finally be able to see her side of the story, and greatly expands on the original Silent Hill's lore. But that's not all. A third campaign was supposed to be available, a campaign dedicated to Andy, the mysterious boy that Cybil meets at some point during her playthrough. But Andy's scenario wasn't unlockable through simply beating Cybil's game. No, why would it be so simple? That's where the DLCs come in. Yes, DLCs in 2001 on the Game Boy Advance. Truly advanced stuff.
Don't get so mad. I was just joking.
Since Play Novel came out during a time when GBA's connectivity with old cell phones was a thing in Japan, thanks to the mobile adapter GB, and this scenario could be accessed only when the GBA was connected through this sort of link cable to a phone, which was itself connected to the internet. In order to download not the whole game, told you that will be too simple, but just one part of the scenario out of 4, with each released periodically, one each season. But there's a catch. Well, actually more than one. First, the internet servers that allowed the download have been shut off a long time now. And after 20 years, I will be surprised to see otherwise. Secondly, the scenario will stay on your GBA only until you shut it off. When you do, it gets completely erased, as it's programmed so that it's not saved on the cartridge's memory, which is just pure cruelty to me. Because you already went through the hassle of connecting your phone to the internet and then the phone to your GBA, so why couldn't they keep it saved in the memory? Because of this clumsy way of releasing the content, Andy's campaign is now completely lost.
Why?
Yep, our deadly boogeyman of lost media shows its ugly face once again. And if Konami didn't feel necessary to keep the source code for Silent Hill 2 and 3, hence the unfinished state in which they were re-released in 2012 through the HD collection, why would they keep something like a small DLC for a forgotten game released only in Japan?
I guess I really don't care.
And this is not the only time Konami did it. In fact, as I just mentioned, we've already met the evil boogeyman of lost media plugging the Castlevania series, as thoroughly documented by the awesome review then in our video collaboration about Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Feel free to check it out. As of Andy's DLCs though, the only remnants of details of his scenario, actually the first part of 4, are kept in the pages of some magazines and old guidebooks, where we can learn that Andy is Harry and Cheryl's neighborhood who basically has a crush on Cheryl and is desperate to talk to her. And because of that, he manages to hide himself inside Harry's car before his trip to Silent Hill begins. And after the accident, Andy finds himself in Silent Hill and tries to look for Cheryl on his own. So yeah, that's basically DLC done wrong. And yes, DLCs weren't a thing back then. So this was clearly experimental and forward-thinking in a way. Still not forward-thinking enough to make the content, preservable. Anyway,
What do you mean, anyway?
let's move on to something good with this game. So each time you finish the game, you get one or more digital cards, depending on the decisions you made on your playthrough. And there's a ton of them, so replayability is through the roof. Moreover, the game is playable on PC thanks to an awesome fun port, which offers various quality of life improvements, like save states, cybil scenario playable from the start, and even a quick skip option. So yeah, that's Play Noble in a nutshell. It's a tragic story of lost media, but there's so much more to it than just that. So it's a pity that this game didn't perform that well, and that's probably why we never got it in the West. People simply didn't buy it, and how could I blame them? Even I thought this would simply be a random visual novel adaptation of one of my favorite video games ever. Instead, it was full of surprises and hidden information. It is also a technical achievement, showcasing full-motion video sequences as early as during the launch of the GBA. The only thing I wish it had more was some action combat sequences, since it was a sizable part of the original. Still, Play Novel has the undeniable merit of hugely expanding the lore of the first Silent Hill, with a deep dive into one of the most important characters in the game, cybil.
Glad to hear it.
So if you beat the original game 1,000 times, got fond of the characters, want to know more about them and extend your journey in Silent Hill, Play Novel got you covered and then some. But this is just one guy's opinion on the internet, so now I want to know yours down in the comments. Did you play this game? Did you even know about its existence? Or the intricate story behind one of the first ever examples of DLCs? What's your favorite game in the series? Share your thoughts or memories in the comment section down below. Also be sure to smash the like button, as it really helps a lot. And join me next time as we march on in our quest to dig up the most obscure Silent Hill games. Next, we will talk about a game that's so obscure it was thought lost forever. A game of which only screenshots survived. Or so we thought. But what are we talking about here exactly? A Silent Hill RPG? Yep. So subscribe to be the first to witness the first ever video coverage with exclusive gameplay footage. All for the sake of gaming preservation, which is a topic I'm particularly fond of. But most importantly, I want to thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. I will be seeing you in my next one, but until then, stay safe, play safe, world gamers.